Good morning, Ruchi. How are you doing?
Hey, hi, good morning. Am I audible?
No, your voice is very feeble.
I think it's because there's not enough charge in the earphones.
Hello?
1 second.
Let me see if it's, yeah, I also increased my volume. My volume is, yeah, max. So how was your week?
1 second, I'm just connecting
Sure,
to a
sure, sure,
different
sure. No problem.
earphone,
No problem.
hoping it helps.
Done. No problem.
Is this better?
Yeah, it's slightly better now.
Okay, perfect.
How was your week?
It was good. How about you?
Was pretty good. It was an eventful week. My wife delivered a baby girl.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I mean, um, I actually always wanted a girl, but
Oh.
uh, I mean, my first was a brat, uh, and we were hoping it would be a girl this time, and luckily it was a girl. And
That's nice.
now it's done. Now it's done. Now everything's done. No more kids. No more nothing. It's all done.
Yeah, family.
I was
One
actually
boy.
okay with one. I was okay with him. Um, but I don't know if I don't know about you, but when I grew up, I had a lot of cousins, right? Of course, I do have a sister, a younger sister, but when I we we I had a lot of cousins. We grew up, we played, we even though sometimes not all of us were in the same country or in the same place,
Mm.
invariably we would meet up. We would spend time, probably a couple of months together. We would grow. We would do a lot of things together, right? And our
Yeah,
bonding was so strong that even till date we are, we're kind of up to date with what each and everyone is doing because we have a cousins group, and we kind of very supportive of each other in a lot of ways. But uh, but when I saw my son, when I saw him, I realized that he barely has any because not all of my family all are having kids, and some of them out of they don't want to have kids. Um,
mm,
and whoever is whoever the whoever is having a kid, they're in far off, the ones in Oman, and so he didn't have
oh,
anybody to call his own to grow up with anybody, right? So
yeah,
we decided, no, we cannot just kind of. I know he's probably not going to get the experience that I had, that
yeah,
growing up with a lot of cousins. But I don't I don't want him to be just growing up alone all by himself, and then at least let him have one sibling and kind of you know
yeah. I think that
experience
is
that.
important. Yeah,
So it was the and of course I should not lie. I heart of hearts I wanted a girl.
okay.
Uh, right. So I me now it's kind of now I'm like I'm over. I would have been even either ways, even if it was a boy, I would have been extremely happy. And I'm not saying that, but I had some I don't know what kind of feeling that when I realized it's a girl, it's it, it, it's a different feeling, right? So um yeah, I
I
mean
get it.
a
You
lot
should
of
have taken an off. Like, what are you doing here teaching me? You
no,
should
no,
have
no. I
let
thought
me
I
go.
initially I thought I would cancel, but then I thought, last minute, don't do that. Whatever your plan for today, completed. It's 2 hours. Just complete the today's session for 2 hours, and I thought tomorrow I'll probably not take tomorrow I'll take a break, right? I won't take up tomorrow's
Okay,
session. So I thought I'll
okay,
complete
okay.
today because it was a planned session. I don't want to, coincidentally,
It's okay.
Chitra
I
is.
mean, you could have just taken an off.
I don't mind. Chitra is also having fever today. I
Oh, okay.
honestly, I thought for a second, um, you know, Chitra is having fever. Should I? But then I thought, you know, you know, probably Ruchi is there and Kishore is
No,
there. And
I absolutely don't mind because I was yesterday also I was studying and
okay,
I think I covered up in page 14 because I thought
okay,
last class I would have missed, so I was studying all of that about the RCSA thing, and it was very interesting. The one that control based the approach is the control based approach, the risk based approach, and there were four in total: control, risk based, I think process based, and what is the fourth one? So yeah, I was basically reading all of
so
those and
no, so what I'll do is I'll probably not take up much of time. I'll try and wrap this session up at the pretty pretty soon because now I've already made up. I've kind of said, okay, let me come and finish to, and tomorrow I've kept myself free, right? So then tomorrow
okay.
you can kind of you can have a chill day, right?
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
just finish up the chapter anyway, not
I'll
a
just
problem.
finish
Like,
this
inshallah.
chapter because this is
Sure.
this assurance services one. We are almost at the final stage of it. I'll kind
Yes,
of
yes.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
And the next, I won't see there is another. The next topic is actually assurance services too, but I don't want to
Okay.
kind of assurance is like I only felt it's going heavy on assurance.
Okay.
And I thought I'll skip assurance service two for a change. I'll move to advisory service. So just hold
Okay.
on a second. I'm just getting one call.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a credit card call. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Um, uh, so then I realized it's getting very heavy on assurance. In fact, some content it felt even overlapping
Yeah.
assurance services too. So I thought, let me complete assurance service one today.
Mm-hmm.
And from next week, I won't take up assurance service two. I'll take up advisory service, and after some time, I'll come back and complete assurance service two. I don't want you guys to be like, it's going extremely heavy on assurance, right? So,
Yeah.
and to be fair, is you know, like you're talking about process auditing, you're talking about quality auditing, a lot of which is right now on your screen, and then you have process audit. You'll see
Yeah.
there's quite a bit of content which is kind of overlapping, right? It's
Yes.
it's of course it's very finely segregated, but essentially not that I would want, of course there are some areas I would really want to cover, especially when it comes to compliance and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In assurance, but um, yeah. So let me
Okay.
complete today's topic, and then tomorrow will there won't be classes, and then next week I'll take
Okay.
up advisory.
Okay. Sure.
Just hold on one second. Now this is a legit call I'm getting, so just one second.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Take it over.
Okay. Right. So let's I hope, I mean, in the previous sessions, you've kind of got what, I mean, in assurance, essentially we are doing, right? I hope that concept's clear, right? So see,
Yes,
you
yes.
know, um, ultimately, remember, our job is to provide assurance, um, you know, and that the financial statements are free from any material misstatement, rather, our operational processes are accurate, rather, our risks
Mm-hmm.
are managed effectively, controls are working effectively. We have to provide an assurance on all of this, right? That
Yeah,
is, we have been kind of covering since forever, right?
yeah.
Um, and we need to confirm that probably, no fraud risks are there. Um, Proper approvals are there. Policies are followed in the organization. All of this is our perennial role, and it's not going to change. What we are only talking about is certain domains within that audit, and one of that extension today is quality auditing, right? Um, when you talk about quality auditing, of course, then you have to talk about quality management systems. And I don't know if it was with you or with Chitra, I covered ISO 9001 standard.
Yeah, those are
Um,
there in part two.
right, yeah. So we covered that, right? So ISO 9001 is one of those quality management systems, right? Which
Mm.
is, uh, which is pan I mean, for the entire organization, right, including internal core, and and where we cover topics like, in quality of the product, supplier audits, certification, right, audits, all of these things kind of is covered under quality auditing. Um, Let me just
So
open.
ISO 9000 is related to quality auditing.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Let me just open my notes. 1 second. Because I thought, today I'll take this up, a complete assurance, and then, tomorrow, of course, I'll give you all a break, and next week we'll start fresh,
Yeah.
outside assurance. We'll move into advisory, and just that, keep kind of a clean slate. Because I also
Okay.
felt it was going very heavy on assurance. Where is this? We covered audits of third party. Yes. Contract auditing we covered. Third party control audits we covered. Okay. Information systems we covered. Covered. Information systems. Did we cover? No, we have to cover yet. So after quality audit, we'll cover information systems. Okay. This is a small page, so um, we'll just complete this. It's just one page, quality audit, just one page, right? And it's fairly simple. Internal audit's objective is to provide assurance that quality processes are operating so that quality standards are met, right? Now,
Yeah.
why do you buy, for example, now we were speaking about shoes the other day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I asked you, which shoes are you planning to buy? And um, and I kind of, did you end up buying a shoe, or are you still planning on
No,
buying?
no. I'm still planning. I did not buy one yet.
And what are you leaning towards?
Running shoes mostly, but mostly
Have you
Nike, I guess. I
have
think
you
you
thought
said
about like
New
which
Balance is also
which
good.
which model, which brand?
No, no.
Not yet. Okay. Okay. So I picked up an A6 Gel Nimbus 27, right? Sorry, not,
Okay.
yeah, 20, was that A6 Gel Nimbus? What is that? What, oh, 17 or 20, something. I can't, 17, 18, I can't remember. Anyways, I picked up the A6 Gel Nimbus. I've still not opened my box. I mean, I've opened and saw my shoes, but I've not worn it yet. So I intend to wear it soon. Um, I've not yet opened it. It's a, um, but one of the things that kind of um, made me buy that particular brand, and
Mm.
particular model also possible. Okay, I can understand probably model is more towards the reason you're buying it, right? Like for example, you spoke
Yeah.
about a running shoe, and I wanted more of a walking shoe, I'm because I don't run. I have a pair of shoes of running firstly, and I don't run like I don't like for these like long races. I don't do that, and whatever bit of running I do is a little bit on the treadmill, light jogging, or maybe brisk walking. That's what I do. Um, and to be honest, I'm not more of a walking or running person. I'm more of a weights person, right?
Okay.
So I needed more stability. I needed more where support while I'm walking, while I'm standing, kind of shoe, which kind of. But then again, why did I choose Asics? Right? I chose Asics because of the quality of the shoe, right? The
Yeah.
brand. I have the feeling that when I buy an Asics shoe, I'm getting a quality product. I'm not getting, you know, or the chances of me getting a defected product. You don't even think about that. You don't even think that you're possibly going to get uh, a defect, in the product you're going to buy. You
Yeah.
believe you're going to get the best product. You believe that. And why do you believe that? Where does it come from? It comes from
The
the fact that,
goodwill.
yeah, but how have they generated that? They have generated that through their internal quality standards, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they do so much of R&D, the fact that they
Yes.
make sure their shoes last long, the shoes fulfill what they say they are going to do for you, right?
Mm. Yes.
Uh, of course, it comes with Japanese engineering, right?
Mhm.
Um, um, and then the fact that you know that what you're paying for is what you're going to get. So essentially, that's what speaks about your internal quality testing. So they make sure that they test their products so well, and that customers are satisfied, right? It's so if you see, the focus is a lot on quality of the product and how that quality is derived through their quality management systems internally, right? And ultimately leads to what you call as customer satisfaction, right? And
Mm.
we as internal auditors, our focus is on this, the fact that what the company sets out to achieve, are they actually achieving it? We're not talking about our revenue has increased by, yeah, of course, we might correlate certain data to it, right? To QMS to see how the sales has performed. We might correlate certain data, of course, but essentially our objective over here is to meet that the operating standards are met, the processes, the controls, the quality controls are met, and that is what is quality auditing, right?
Mm.
Um, Quality auditing evaluates whether an organization's processes, products, right, which is of course what we end up buying, or services,
Mm.
right, meet defined quality standards, customer expectations, and regulatory requirements. Very important something is standardization and quality management, right? Standardization,
Yeah.
right? The fact that, you know, um, you buy one or you buy 10, you get the same kind of satisfaction, right?
Very
And
true.
that's
Yes.
what leads to repeat customers,
Yeah.
correct? I mean,
Yes.
why does iPhone have one of the, I think iPhone has the highest, not one of the highest customer retention, uh, percentage, right? That means
Yeah.
a person who once buys an iPhone will continue buying an iPhone. Why? Because of the quality,
Mm.
consistency in the quality. Of course, I should also, when we talk about iPhone, then you need to attribute its iOS software, right? Once a person
Yes.
is on to iOS, then very rarely they get out of that ecosystem because that ecosystem is so good. But even that ecosystem is, again, you're talking about services, right? That ecosystem, it might not be a hard product, but it's a service, right? Their ecosystem is so robust. so standardized, I mean, superior quality. The fact that, um, I don't know if you're aware, when our government was trying to hack into mobile phones, including the oppositions, including the media persons, people with iPhones got notifications that, um, the government is, I mean, or that, there's an agency trying to hack into your mobile, and they had used an Israeli kind of software, or not software, or system to kind of hack into it. But it's so good, right? It's so good
Yeah.
that that even when it comes to security, I'm secure, my mobile is secure, my data is secure. And even if such an advanced system is trying to hack into my mobile, I'm getting a notification that there is an attempt of hacking, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that is one of the place they had taken over from, which was earlier BlackBerry's forte, right? BlackBerry's forte was earlier into security, right?
Yeah.
Which then today, if you see most corporates, they require that you have an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
They Because of the security in an iPhone, right? They want your data to be kind of uh, uh, protected.
Mm.
Now, the current approach to quality, therefore, is holistic. It covers all processes from product design to material acquisition, inspection, and extends throughout the organization to the functions that support the operating activities, including internal audit functions. Right. So it's of course your but you know when a retailer buys from, for example, an A6 retailer, right? He's
Yeah.
buying in bulk from A6 itself,
Mm.
right? So the percentage of defects that they buy when they, of course, they will buy probably 1 lakh pair, right? I'm just, let's assume 100,000 pairs, and
Yeah.
it might be one of the biggest retailers in India. You have veg, non-veg, you have, what is that, Super Kicks, you have Crep Dog. No, Crep Dog Crew is a reseller, right? It's a reseller.
Yeah.
You have Super Kicks, and you have veg, non-veg in India, right? Which are resellers,
Mm.
which are authorized, sorry, sellers, not resellers. And when they buy in bulk, let's assume they buy 10,000 pairs, right? Of course, different models. But the fact that when they buy 10,000 pairs, only one or two of them might be defect, right? They might be a defective piece.
Yeah.
And they're ready to accept that much. I know I'm paying a premium price for these brands. Of course, I'm also selling at my markup, but I'm paying big money. And if in big money, if one or two pairs are defective, it ultimately will eat up into my my margins, right? And remember, I'm
Yeah.
importing it from Japan, right? So
Mm.
it doesn't make sense for me to again return it and all of that. Your cost will go in that itself, right? So
Yeah.
when you buy in bulk 10,000 pairs, you expect that, okay, maybe one or two pairs might be defect, but if it's like 20 or 30, then it's going to impact your margins, right? And then you will say,
Yeah.
I don't want this brand itself. I don't want to sell this brand. Why? Because it's eating up to my margins. If if the it was manufactured locally and then they are having a good supply chain, okay, fine, you can kind of then return it and all. That's a different thing, right? But when you're buying it from overseas, there's this huge
Mm.
risk you're taking, right? The fact that there might be
Yeah.
defects, but the fact that their quality is so good and their final inspection also is so good leads to vendors wanting to sell their products, right? And we,
Yeah.
as auditors, of course, our job, like I told you, is to ensure that all of this is happening, right? Now, TQM, or total quality management, as we call it, is the continuous pursuit of quality in every aspect of organization activities through a philosophy of doing it right the first time. It's Japanese philosophy, right? They want to do everything right the first time.
Mm.
Employee training and empowerment, promotion of teamwork, improvement of processes, and attention to satisfaction of internal, which is essentially your employees, and external customers, right? Now, sorry, responsibility for. quality resides with all staff within the organization and is not limited to personnel with explicit involvement in quality management. The internal audit, right? Only who's inspecting the shoes. It's not only their responsibility. It's the entire, right from the entire manufacturing process till the item is reaches the client. It's responsible because even in supply chain, the products can get damaged, right? Doesn't mean the product is manufactured and it's all good. Even while
Mm.
transporting a particular product to the customer, the product can get damaged, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk
Mm.
about a product, a perishable product like eggs, right? Look at the care that you need to take, right? It's not just
Yeah.
okay, the quality of eggs are good and it's done. No, even in the supply chain, transportation, you need to ensure that it's done in a very
Yeah. So that it doesn't
robust,
break.
yeah, exactly, right? Very controlled environment.
Mm.
Temperature, you need to maintain the temperature, otherwise it can get spoiled. And also you need to avoid breakage. So many things you need to consider.
Mm.
The intern, even cars for that, when you're transporting cars, right, through trailers and all of that, you need to take
Mm.
very good care, right? You know, till it reaches the showroom, right? So the internal audit function performs procedures to provide assurance that the basic quality management objectives are reached, customer satisfaction, continuous improvement, and promotion of teamwork. Just one example, right? Quality auditing is a systematic, independent examination of processes, controls, and outputs, right? If the organization is tell we want to achieve 99.99%, or rather, if I put it the other way around, we should not exceed 0.01% defective products. And
Mm.
that is what you will go and audit. Are we actually achieving 0.01% defective products or is it higher, right? It's actually, we are, our
Yeah.
percentage is far higher, like 0.1%, right? That is considerably higher than what the organization wanted to achieve, right? And that is what you will audit. That no, we are not meeting our
Yeah.
standards, right? To determine whether they meet the standards, are effective, are consistently applied. Example, manufacturing, high defect rate in products. This is the most common example in when you talk about defect rates, generally you're talking about manufactured products, right? Um,
Yeah.
I I don't know services how but services you can also monitor through number of complaints, customer complaints, and all of that, right? Um,
Mm.
but somehow, um, you know, customer complaints, I always feel, when it comes to that, it's a qualitative aspect. You Customer might generally say, okay, no, fine, everything is good. I don't know if you do that in Uber when you take a cab. Generally, you give a 5-star rating, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Do you or do you not? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I get.
Like by default, I give a 5-star rating unless and until there was some
Yeah.
specific issue with that cab, and then
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
only then you will like put a different rating, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, by default, I put like 5-star, 5-star,
I
5-star every time,
yes. Yes. Yes.
right? So yeah, when it comes to kind of qualitative aspects, sometimes there can be a bias. Well, anyways, that's not our topic of discussion. So let's um, internal audit findings: no proper inspection at final stage, quality checks skipped during the peak production, right? Maybe volumes were very high, and because of very high volumes, um, we noticed a lot of quality checks were missing, right? For not for all the products. A recommendation: introduce mandatory inspection checkpoints and strengthen supervision, right? And while quality checks
Mhm.
happen. So that's with um, this topic. And now we move to security and privacy audits, right? Just can you give me 2 minutes and then we'll
Yeah.
continue?
Yeah. Sure.
Just 2 minutes.
Sure. Sure.
Just in State Street, have you ever had a training where they've told you don't keep your laptops open? If a phishing mail comes, what do you need to do? If you feel some mail is suspicious.
Yeah, I mean, so many times I've missed the phishing email. I think it's for real, and I just click on that link, and I have gotten like a warning that be careful. You are not checking properly. You're just going on clicking links and all, so don't do that.
Exactly, right? Uh, I mean, in my current organization and even at EY, I remember we are told such our trainings, our trainings is that even if when you're working from home,
Mm.
even when you're working from home, don't if you're not on your seat, don't keep your laptop unattended,
Yeah, yeah, same, same.
right? Because your kid or someone might come and might send some wrong email to somebody else by press
Mm.
some buttons when and information might kind of what was intended for an internal uh, for an internal rather an employee then will go to an external vendor or a client, and some data might be shared unintentionally, right? It could be an accident, but
Yeah,
still the onus lies on you, right? And also,
yeah.
um, when we're sharing certain confidential data, share it, make sure it's password protected. Now, for example, I get the banking statements now. The the corporate card statements come to me, right, in my organization directly. They are addressed to me and addressed to my one of the person in my team. Two of us they are addressed to.
Mm.
But I can't just open the the statement, right, because it contains the account number of the cardholders, various cardholders in my organization, the names, what they've spent on, how much they've spent, right? It
Yeah.
comes as a password protected. I'm sure, of course, there is encryption. In addition to that, it is the intended person only. And as per our board resolution, only Jake and the one more guy in my team, only we are authorized to receive the mails and access that information. And of course, the individual cardholder will obviously have their own information. But
Mm.
all these are security practices by an organized security privacy accesses, sorry, security and privacy actions taken by an organization, right?
Mm.
In regards to sharing in, information about their clients, about the users of the products. Um, Something as simple as that, right? As something as what is that? A statement is generated every month and being sent out to the client. So something as simple as that, we as internal auditors need to ensure that it's meeting in fact meeting those standards, right? We evaluate basically whether the organization is protecting the data, um, and of course in addition to whatever specific laws are there with regards to protecting the data and managing risks towards this is being met, right?
Yeah.
We and remember one thing again, when we talk about security and privacy audit, we are not doing or we're not providing the security, but we are not ensuring the privacy is being met. Whose responsibility is that in your organization?
Um, I'm sorry, the privacy being met for uh, I think it's the IT
Exactly,
people. Yeah.
exactly. You're right. It's the responsibility of the IT people to make sure that security is happening. They are putting the right firewalls. The
Mm.
encryption is happening. That's the
Access
responsibility.
management also.
Exactly, exactly. Right.
Mm.
You're working from home. You work from home also, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
and when you're logging in from home, I'm sure there must be some authentication happening,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? All that setting up of all of that, ensuring all that happens. This is the responsibility of the IT team.
Mm.
Our responsibility as internal auditors is to provide an assurance that indeed those things are happening or not. That's it, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's a repeat of what we do, but I'm just telling you from a security and a privacy audit perspective, right? We don't set up
Mm.
all those things. Setting up all those things is the responsibility of the IT department. We are providing an assurance that the IT department is actually doing their work correctly or not. We, of course, you're not focusing on individuals, but we're focusing on that fact that these things are indeed happening or not. Of course, the responsibility lies with the IT department, and if it is not performing effectively as planned, as supposed to be, or in compliance with certain laws, right? For example, the GDPR laws in Europe, right, where uh, just where I consider that as the best. I mean, um, I mean that's so ideal where you have the right to not exist online, right? And that Europe allows you that. Whereas in India, our government tries every day to access each and every. I mean, right now they have access to all our social media, to all our chats, everything, right? It's so unfortunate. You have on one side a region which is so amazing that there is so much where you have privacy, right, of anything and
Yeah.
everything you do. And here where our own government is intruding into our day-to-day lives, right? But in every chat, every social media handle that we have to be careful what we post. Of course, there are a lot of other aspects to it, but it comes under security and privacy audits. Security is an okay. The most common use of the term security in an organization relates to information technology. Security is an appropriate governance and risk management issue even in the absence of IT. Remember, security audit is where we need to provide assurance that on tech systems, networks, and data from threats. That is what we're talking about security audit.
Mm.
The internal audit function evaluates the adequacy and effectiveness of controls designed and implemented by management in all areas of security. I prepared some notes for security. Let me should I take that now or let me do this? Okay, let me just read it through first and then I'll take up my notes. I think when I go through my notes, I think it'll kind of be a little comprehensive and then you'll kind of got everything. Information security auditing. The creation of organization-wide computer networks with the potential for access by numerous outside parties has greatly increased risk. The internal audit function needs to assess risks, monitor the implementation of corrective action, and evaluate controls. Just hold on a second.
Yeah.
Right. Internal audit also may act in an advisory capacity by identifying security issues and by working with users of information systems and with systems security personnel to devise and implement controls. Okay, I'll go through my notes right now and then we'll come back to all of this and complete it, right? Um, I think once I'm done with this, I think you'll have a probably a better understanding. Hi, Kishore. I did not know you're in today.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How was your week?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, sorry. I didn't realize that you've joined. So welcome. I don't know from where you got, but we're talking right now. We completed quality auditing. And
I
right now,
joined when you was teaching privacy and security audit.
okay, so we completed quality auditing.
Yeah,
And now we're talking about, we're talking about security and privacy audit, right?
yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
I think I prepared these notes. I think with this, you'll kind of it's a pretty comprehensive. So then you will kind of get the entire gist of security and privacy audit,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
also, I mentioned earlier, just in case you missed. I mean, I think yeah, for sure because we spoke about it at the beginning. Tomorrow, I won't be having a session,
Okay.
right? Because I was just blessed with a baby girl.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, but
congrats.
I thank you so much. But I had scheduled this session. I thought, no, let me schedule it today, and tomorrow you guys can kind of be a little free, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, so I thought, whatever, let me complete this assurance services today, and of course, from next session on, and next, although we do have assurance services too, I won't be taking that up because I felt it to be too heavy on the assurance. And next session will be advisory services, right?
okay.
Um, But as an internal auditor, our core responsibility is always assurance. Remember that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
from a
yeah.
study perspective, I mean, advisory is also very important. I'm not discounting that. Um, but um, but from a study perspective, I felt it was going extremely heavy on advice on assurance, and I thought let's just give a break for some time. Let's move to advisory, and let me cover something else, and then later I will come back to assurance services too and complete that also, right? So
Okay. Yeah,
um, don't worry about that. We'll when time comes, I'll so that you'll feel it'll be like a revision of assurance services. Although the concepts, the domains are different, but
okay.
assurance ultimately is assurance, right? It's not going to change. Only the domains will change. We'll be talking about
Mm,
quality on one side. We'll be talking about financial statements. Now, for example, what we're talking about is security and privacy. Domains will change, but our role as providing assurance will never change, and that remains universal,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I
Okay.
got it.
So the role of I hope you can see my document right now, my Word document.
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Okay. The role of a CIA information security audit is to provide independent assurance that an organization's information systems and security controls are effective, well governed, and aligned with risk management objectives. A CIA doesn't usually run security systems. That's the IT team's job, right? Instead, they evaluate, test, and report on how well those systems protect the organization. Risk assessment: identify IT and cybersecurity risks, for example, data breaches, unauthorized access, and downtime. Have you all any time experienced any such thing in your organization?
Only once I think there was a downtime. Like one of the applications was not working, not the whole system, but just one application.
Okay, okay, right. But um, Ruchi, you use a One Plus, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Kishore? Which phone do you use?
Same, one plus.
One Plus.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, I was reading an article, of course, app. Apple has the highest customer retention, but even OnePlus has a very pretty strong customer retention. Um, right? Um, but you know, if you see, there was an article I read. Not, it's not the latest one. I think it's about 2 years old article. The highest number of data breaches on mobile phones happens on Android mobiles because it's an open source system, right? Um, and of course, not every phone manufacturer has very is very robust in security, right? They've improved over the period of time, and that's why I said this is slightly old information, more than 2 years old information. But yeah, companies like OnePlus, Samsung, I'm sure they are better in terms of security. But a lot of times, data breaches is more common than we can think, especially on certain these kind of platforms where organizations, hackers uh, are trying to get your personal data. A lot of time, it's of course um, for for your own personal gains, or of course, if it's a governmental organization, then of course for other means and purposes, right? Um, but I don't know if you have seen on YouTube these videos where these hackers in call centers and all are trying to you know they kind of want to access a lot of your you know especially people overseas. uh, they ha their credit cards. They try and breach their systems. um, I don't know if you've seen where sometimes it's reverse hacking, where a hacker actually ends up hacking these so-called hackers. And these are not hackers, they're there's a term for that. I'm not.
Ethical hacking.
Yeah, these are the ethical hackers who reverse hack into these call centers, and unfortunately, many of them are based in India, right? Uh, and majority of them are based in the NCR region. Uh, of course, I'm not, it's not only in the NCR region. There is in other places also, uh, but majority of being based in the NCR region, where these people are trying to access. They have these entire call centers set up. Their sole purpose is to access people's information, their access card. And they somehow get a- access to some of their data, and through that they try to manipulate them into getting financial benefit out of that, right? Of course, I do enjoy sometimes when I watch these guys hack back into their systems. Uh, and it's a lot of fun. And these guys sometimes later they realize that they themselves are being hacked into, right? But and then they, because their names are revealed, they'll tell them their names, their system, they have control over their system. Then it's kind of fun to see what happens after that. And especially with our, these people in the call centers. Of course, they're Indian, but then they're using all names as, all American names. They're trying to change the accent while talking, more Americanized accents they're trying to use. It's funny, just to kind of uh, show that they're somebody that they are not. Um, it's very unfortunate when I see that many of them are from India. It kind of, it's it's very sad. Of course, you have also from I think another country which is in Africa, which is I think it's Nigeria. Nigeria is another country which is known for that. Um, um, yeah, I think Nigeria is there. India is there. I think Bangladesh also a little bit is there. Um, I mean, I'm not saying that other countries don't have, but the prominence or the number is pretty high in these countries. When I was in Oman, our company systems were breached by a Nigerian entity, right? So, yeah. Okay, so risk assessment, identify IT and security risks, data breaches, unauthorized access, downtime, evaluate risk impact and likelihood. We know about that. Prioritize audit areas, example, cloud systems, payment systems. Oh, these have to be extremely secure. Like you have this, when you're making a payment, you go through a particular gateway, right? Very soft, what's it called? Razor Pay and all, right? Right? Razor Pay
Yeah,
and
Razer, Pay, Stripe. There are
right.
many.
Yeah. So why certain vendors choose to go with these particular payment gateways is because they understand these are very secure payment gateways, payment systems, right? So um, we as auditors need to make sure that indeed it's achieving its objectives, right? And certain ways are, certain risks, or that, sorry, certain risks are weak passwords. And nowadays, we need to have alphanumerical, also it needs to be with a symbol. And then you need to have caps also involved in your alphabets, not just small letters. Caps also needs to be there. Lack of encryption, poor access controls, right? Evaluating internal controls. We need to review whether proper controls exist and are effective, such as access controls, user authentication, role-based access control. If Jake is an approver, he can only approve, right? If Ruchi is a preparer, she can only prepare JVs. She cannot approve JVs, right? One person as a preparer, one person as a reviewer. Maybe if sometimes some people have a preparer, reviewer, and approver. Sometimes the reviewer and approver is the same individual, right? Depending on, of course, the number of people you have in your organization, right? Network security, firewall, IDS, which is the intrusion detection system, right? IPS, intrusion prevention system. There are two different systems. One is when the system is breached, uh, it kind of detects and give an alert. And one is which prevents only it from happening. And generally, you have both, right? Data protection, encryption, backups, very important to have data backup, right? Otherwise, if it's breached, and then your data could be lost forever, right? Hackers might even hold you for a ransom, right? You pay us, and it's happened, by the way. All these things have happened um, more times than not. Uh, that that sorry, not more times than not, but many a times it's happened where hackers then they hold your data, they hold you for ransom, you pay the amount, and they'll return the data back. And then also there is no assurance that they might return the data back, and it's happened, right? I've known certain instances um, when I was in Oman, one or two instances where it actually happened with one of the competing vendors. Change management, planned updating software, right? Our iOS, sorry, I think even you guys must be getting on your phones. I get on my phone iOS, updating software. On our laptops, right? We'll have this software update. Um, so planned update software, modifying the code or changing any configurations. Incident response procedures. What we assess is the design effectiveness. Is the control properly designed? And the operating effectiveness. Is it actually working? What was planned? What was designed as planned? Right? One is the design itself correct? Are the segregation of duties happening? Everything this was what is supposed to be in the design phase. And now is it working indeed? Right? Then testing controls. They perform audit procedures such as A as in V, reviewing system logs, user login, logout, file access. And by the way, I'm currently internal audit is going on, and all this information was asked by the internal auditors. Of course, I am the person handling the internal audit. So even though this data has to be provided by IT team, I'm aware of all the information that has been requested, because the entire internal audit is routed through me in my currently, and that's I'm handling the internal audit, right? So review system logs. They ask for the entire system logs. Uh, they ask for the configuration setup. Of course, they asked for a walkthrough to be run through by the IT team. And of course, the IT in the internal audit team will, of course, re-perform control activities. What we'll do is we'll just take a small break and then we'll continue, right? Today we'll be completing, like I said, assurance service, and we'll just take a small break, and 12:10 we'll continue.
Yeah, sure.
Richie, have a coffee quickly, and then you
Yes.
can send me over my Starbucks as well, a cafe latte.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Okay, done. 10 minutes. 12:10 will continue.
Okay.
Continue. Which you all good? Continue.
Yeah, yeah, you can continue, Jake.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Compliance and framework alignment, right? CI auditors ensure systems align with, we spoke in the previous session about SOC2, right? ISO 27001, NIST cybersecurity frameworks, internal policies, right? We need to identify any weaknesses, control gaps, security vulnerabilities, non-compliance issues. Of course, very important, which is a part of our role, is to report and recommend, right? If there are any gaps found, we have to provide an audit report to management, suggest improvements. For example, multi-factor authentication. In my organization, when I log in, I have to put in my system password Then I have to put in this Microsoft Authenticator, right? The authentication code changes every time, right? Every minute it changes, right? So if I'm logging to any particular application, firstly, the moment I log into my system, it's valid for 12 hours, right? After 12 hours, again, I need to put in the new code, right? And even then, for certain applications, right? For example, if I'm logging into the one where I have to, the Cadency software application, the Cadency where I have to approve, where I'm an approver of reconciliations, stocks reconciliations. Also, if I'm going into the ERP system, which is Business Central, one time I have to log in. I have to provide them an authentication, right? So not just one authentication, multi-factor authentication, right? Ensures that just a one-time password cannot be accessed by anybody remotely, and just of course, do anything wrong, anything unethical. So we have multi-factor authentication, and then track remediation actions. Were the necessary actions taken or not? Right? Continuous monitoring, follow up on previous audits, and recommend ongoing monitoring mechanisms. One example for you guys: unauthorized access risk in a banking system. The situation when an internal auditor audits the bank's online banking system, identifies the risk of unauthorized access to customer accounts, right? I don't know if you are aware, but of late, unfortunately, a lot of people internally have been involved in the banking system. ICICI being one of them, and some banks where the people internally have been involved in um, you know defrauding customers of their money. In one particular instance, one of the which was that state, I can't remember which state. Um, they stole money from the state's uh, one of the arms from their account itself. Of course, when it was later revealed, then they had to return the money back. Certain actions were taken, but systems had then they ensured had to check and make sure the systems were now again uh, you know in order to prevent all this from happening in the future. But unfortunately, in India, the own bankers are involved in certain instances in kind of defrauding people. But however, it doesn't matter. Even when such instances are identified, the bank needs to take necessary actions to kind of remedy them, right? Now, we don't know the entire story of why the HDFC, one of the board members, he resigned due to unethical practices. It's not been fully disclosed, of course. It will never be fully disclosed to us because if it happens, then it will be a huge issue. But um, yeah, ultimately, there's a risk of unauthorized access to customer accounts. The control review system uses username, password only, and no multi-factor authentication. Testing auditor checks login logs, finds multiple failed login attempts which are not monitored, right? Um, Finding weak authentication controls, no alert mechanism for suspicious activity. Now, what is the recommendation? Implement an MFA, enable real-time login monitoring, introduce account lockout policy, right? If it's more than three times, if you have logged in incorrectly, automatically lock out. Then the customer has to, uh, he has to do the entire process of being able to get his password back again, right? Outcome, improved system security, and reduced risk of fraud and data breaches. So just a quick summary of what the auditor does versus the security team, right? The auditor is an independent evaluator. The IT team is the system implementer. Auditor reviews the controls, IT security team designs and operates the controls, reports the risks, IT team fixes the risk. We focus on assurance, they focus on operations. Internal auditor in information security auditing acts as a watchdog, ensuring that IT security controls are effective, compliant, and aligned with business risks. I hope you guys have got now a complete overview of security and privacy audit. I hope it's that with
Yes.
what I prepared, it's kind of clear,
Sure.
right? I mean, I know because see, when I go through the notes, you don't have that kind of in examples kind of segregation, right? You have a lot of text, but that kind of segregation is not this. I thought best just prepare something for you guys, which makes it easier for you guys, right? Okay, certain points I just want to highlight over here, right? Um, the CAE may develop a risk and control matrix to document risks that may affect the achievement of objectives, indicate the relative significance of risks, understand key controls in processes, and understand which controls have been reviewed for design adequacy. Did we cover control matrix, Ruchi?
Yeah, I think there was
Sometimes
information.
I get confused what I covered with you and what I covered with Chitra. Right? So that's why I kind of asked you this question again.
Yeah,
Um,
we discovered.
okay, so Kishore, just for your information, um, when we talk about control matrix, essentially, sorry, a risk and control matrix, RCM, it's
Okay.
a tool. It's essentially a tool we use in internal audit. We use it essentially to map any risks, what are the controls for it, and what are the audit procedures. It's all in one place. You can see this is the risk, this is a control, and this is the audit procedure we'll be performing for that particular control, right? Ultimately, it helps us, we have like an overview of all the risks facing the organization, right? It'll probably mention whichever process or activity that is that we are that is being covered, the risk that could impact that particular, right? If, for example, if you're talking about payroll, right? If you're talking about payroll is a process. What could go wrong, right? What could go wrong? Maybe some unauthorized access to that payroll data, or payment could go to unauthorized employees, right? So what are the controls we have in place for that, right? Um, right? And maybe like, for example, if it's vendor payment, all invoices must be approved by a manager before payment. That's the control we have, right? Of course, you can have more controls. And another thing is that's mentioned in the RCM is the frequency of these controls. Who is the owner of that control? Who is the person, or which, like, who's the author approving, or which person is it? Is it the finance manager? Is it the finance director? Is it the managing director? Um, and ultimately, we use that RCM to audit, right? Then we'll take, okay, fine, let's take 50 invoices, and let's see that indeed in all these 50 invoices, the necessary approvals that were required, right? In some cases, if the invoice value is over and above a particular value, you need two or three approvers. So let's take a sample and check that. So that's an RCM. It gives you a snapshot picture of of uh, of kind of of the risks impacting an organization, and what controls are in place, and how do we evaluate them, right? So this, I think, I covered this with Ruchi. So, but don't worry, for now you don't need to worry about it, right? But just have an understanding of what's a risk and control matrix. Let me see if I can share with you some picture. Anyways, just go through it online, and if in case you have any doubt, let me know, right? In the interest of time, I'll continue, right? Otherwise, okay. Now, the board must provide adequate governance and oversight. We know this, right? The extent of the internal audit function involvement depends on the level of maturity of the organization's privacy practices. The internal auditors may facilitate the development and implementation of the privacy program, but assumption of responsibility may impair independence. Remember, we as internal auditors advise, we don't decide. I can tell you whether what controls are good if we implement, for example, if we are a shipping company, which software is the best from a controls perspective. I can tell that this, all these risks are mitigated under Business Central, under SAP, but maybe under Oracle, this kind of risk is not mitigated. Maybe a particular risk, maybe an approval risk will not happen. I'm sure Oracle is very good that way, but any particular, maybe they're not very specialized towards the shipping industry. That's why certain risks might not be covered, right? But we can never tell that you have to choose SAP. So advice, don't decide, review, and don't run or operate the software. Careful not to own, design, or operate it, otherwise independence is compromised. Right? Advise, but don't own the process. That's your golden rule, Kishore. I mean, I know I've told this 100 times to Ruchi, but again, I'm repeating to you, because we don't own any process. We can only advise and we can provide assurance.
Okay, got it.
Ruchi must be tired of that, right? Statement.
No,
Right. So, anyways, it's as long as you complete CIA, you'll have to hear it. The day you
yeah.
complete it, then you'll still have to remember it. You can't forget it, but you won't have to hear it again. Right? That's it.
Mm.
Okay. Privacy considerations. Personal information must be protected from unauthorized intrusion and misuse by those who have authorized access. And I'll tell you, in my current organization, right? So of course, the HR provides the um, has the access to the salary of the employees. Now, ultimately, finance has to prepare, process the salary JV and upload the payment file. And I am an approver of in the system, I am one of the approved persons who can upload a file. Now, when I upload the file, I actually can view the salary data of employees, right? If I want to, I choose not to. And ideally, I should not be viewing it, right? Because it's already determined who actually needs to have access for the salary data, which is one of them is HR, and one of the individuals is the finance director. Right? These are the only designated people and even in HR, certain people like the HR director and one of is the HR manager. Only these people have access. And one is, of course, the payroll processor himself, right? Um, so certain designated people only. I can view it if I intend to, although I'm not one of the authorized persons to have. So even though I may have access to it, I should not be viewing it, right? That will be against privacy consideration. Now, of course, there's another aspect of it. I don't want to view it because if I see someone's salary which is not uh, uh, which is not uh, you know I feel I deserve much more better than this person. If I see it, my mind will go for a toss, and I'll be like, I'll myself will be like, oh, what the hell? I'll be demotivated in my work, right? It's happened to me previously in in a previous organization where you of course you get to know somebody's earning this much and then you think what I mean you deserve much more. I mean I deserve much more than what that person. I do far more, right? So over a period of time I decided not to break your head because in every organization somebody is going to complain that about the same thing about you, right? Um, and then someone's going to so you everyone is going to feel at some point of time that they are underpaid versus somebody else, right? So don't break your head on it. I remember, I'll tell you, in EY, for a particular role that I was, I joined, and uh, I got to know later that people for that particular role are paid between 8 lakhs up to 23, 24 lakhs for a particular designation, a particular grade. And it broke my mind as to how can there be so much disparity, right? That for a particular grade from 8 to 20, you normally companies don't that, and unfortunately this is very bad. This happens only in India. I realized where, normally you advertise a role and there's a bracket, right? 10, 5,000 to $6,000, depending on your experience, qualifications, either on the lower side or some on the higher side, which is 6,000. But you will not see 5 to 13,000 or 5 to 14,000 or 5 to 20,000. That's absurd. And only in India it happens because we have this policy of where we pay based on your previous salary, etc., etc. And then, of course, how you negotiate and how the HR is negotiating to get as much, get it down as much. And I don't know if you have experienced this, but in Big Fours, this is pretty common. What about you, Ruchi? Have you ever any time experiences?
No, I mean it's very private. These things I've never like discussed anything.
Okay, so okay, yeah, but that's why I said no. Now I don't. Even though I have access to information, I don't view it because I don't want to break my mind, right, and my peace.
Yeah, yeah,
Of course, it's against policy, company policy. That's the first thing. But when you have the data with you, there's nothing stopping you from viewing it. But I don't do it, right? I don't want to break my head. I want to be at peace. I'm getting my decent salary, going home, I'm working, finish, right? Let me have my Starbucks coffee and let me be happy, right? So, or which coffee do you prefer, Ruchi? Starbucks or Third Wave or Blue Tokai?
I like both of them.
Yeah, I mean, see, I agree with you. I think that's the better one. Although
Yeah,
initially I used to like Third Wave, but of late I I think um I think Blue Tokai is better. I think it's
yeah,
better. I've actually I didn't realize it until I think this was about 2 months back or something, 2 or 3 months back. I can't remember. Until
yeah,
this week, I went to Blue Tokai. The reason being, my son likes a particular sandwich or something over there. He likes it. So we went to Blue Tokai, and then I think not even a week. I think maybe 4 days or 5 days later, we ended up going to Third Wave. And Third Wave was my preferred place in Bangalore because I used to live in, of course, in Indranagar. But then, so I had a couple of options, but the ambiences of these places were good, good crowd and all of that. Um, but then, this is in Bombay itself a couple of months back. And then 4, 5 days later, I went to Third Wave. And then I'm like, I actually prefer Blue Tokai. Their coffee is actually better, right? Um, anyways, so you're right. Blue Tokai is indeed better. Now,
yeah,
benefits of the security arrangements should exceed the cost. Golden rule, golden rule, Kishore. I mean, you're seeing it now under privacy consideration under just a single line, right? But this is the basis of your entire role as an internal auditor, right? This point. Here you're talking from the perspective of security. arrangement. But the golden rule is any control you have in place should not exceed the cost of 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 the the control cost should not be higher than what you're trying to protect. For example, encryption is an expensive way to address threats to the security of private information. And I'll give you a very basic example. And this is a very layman's example I can provide you. Okay, a very layman's example. And I generally give this example to a lot of people, when I'm teaching. It's a very, very layman concept. Now, let's assume I'm an organization. I I have mandated to all my clients to pay through bank transfer or credit card or UPI, right? And but I generally say even not even credit card or UPI, I say it should be bank transfer, right? Check could be the second preferred option. Distant third would be credit card or UPI, and not preferred at all, but only under certain exceptions, cash payment is accepted. Let's assume this is my company policy. And based on based on our what we have been seeing over the last 1 year, at any given point of time in a particular day or in a particular month, let's say a particular month for a day, in a particular month, not more than 50,000 rupees cash is received. Are you getting me, Kishore?
Yeah, I'm getting you.
So in a particular month, we do not receive more than 50,000 rupees cash, right? Because all the payments are received are through bank transfer or 90% through bank transfer. That remaining 8-9% is received through either check or UPI or credit card. Remaining 8 or 9%, sometimes not even that much. And 1%, 0.1% or something is received through cash. Now, just because 50,000 rupees in a month is received in cash and that cashier is sitting over there, do you think I should spend 15 lakhs in making a full fencing, secure fencing, huge, safe CCTV cameras? Like I said, do you think I should spend 15 to 20 lakhs making a separate room for that person, steel fencing it, all of these things? Do you think it makes sense?
No,
The person is handling only 50,000 rupees cash a month. Should I spend 15 lakhs? It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense for me to provide so much security, right? I'd rather just have an insurance in place for up to 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh maximum cash, 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh cash. I'll have an insurance in place, right? Small amount, only 1 lakh cash maximum. Because even that 50,000, that's money whenever it's received is deposited on a regular basis. It doesn't make sense for me to have so much additional expenses. So what I'm trying to tell you is I'd rather not have that security in place, not have that CCTV in place, not have that. It doesn't serve my purpose because the cost exceeds the benefit, correct? The cost exceeds the benefit. And this is a rule for you as an internal auditor, any given point of time. The controls cost pro- should not increase over the benefit provided in terms of right the benefit provided in terms of the protection or whatever of the asset or whatever. Then you are not adding value to the organization, right? Now if it is pertaining to compliance, for example data compliance and all, then you can't talk about cost. Compliance is compliance, you have to ensure it because it is a government rule, right? But in this case, it is the fact we are talking about is cost should be reasonable versus the benefit you are benefit that is being the organization is getting, right? So I hope you got that concept now, right? And this is a CIA concept. This is an internal concept, internal audit concept. This is not just with regards to security and privacy data. Okay, just a couple more pages, then we're done. Hello. Okay, what is privacy? The definition of privacy can vary widely. It may simply be the protection of the collection, storage, processing, dissemination, and destruction of personal information. More fundamentally, it is a human right that those in power must protect. I mean, the following are elements of privacy. This is only true in Europe, I feel. Right? I mean, I'm not sure about anywhere else. Um, Personal privacy, of course, not just Europe, but in Europe, it's very, very strong. Personal privacy, physical and psychological, privacy of space, freedom from surveillance, privacy of communication, freedom from monitoring, privacy of information, collection, use, and disclosure of personal information by others. Right? Now you see a lot of uh, you know back and forth in this, and for example, Twitter had huge issues with our Indian government. Our government wanted a lot of data of the users, whereas Twitter was against it, and so forth, right? So there's a lot of back and forth on privacy. Whereas in Europe and all, it's so strong and so amazing. You can actually be off the grid if you choose to. It's so brilliant, right? In performing assurance engagements, auditors often have access to personal information. Thus, internal auditors need to consider the protection of personally identifiable information gathered during audits. Privacy controls are legal requirements in many jurisdictions. Organizations may be required to identify the purpose for which personal information is collected at or before collection. These laws also prohibit using and disclosing personal information for purposes other than those for which it was collected, except with the individual's consent or as required by law. Right? You have ethical requirements, maintain confidentiality. Read through it. Let me know if anything, because we've spoken about it previously. But still, I'd like for you to read it, understand it, right? Um, and the last topic is performance audits, right? I'll just quickly go through this. You have processes audits and all, like I said, going forward in the next assurance service and all, but I won't be taking up assurance because like I said, if I continue with this, you guys will be kind of overwhelmed with the various type of audits, right? So I'm keeping it simple. I'll complete performance audit, and then we are good for some time with assurance, right? Then we'll move to advisory. Have you thought of getting into any advisory role, Ruchi? Have you ever thought of getting into an advisory role?
Yeah, I think that is much more comfortable than providing assurance. I think it
Ha-
should be a little more important role also, like advisory.
Have you thought of ever time working for McKinsey or
Yeah,
uh,
why not?
or what is that? Bain, Bain,
Which one?
uh, Bain, right? Bain, McKinsey. Have you ever thought of working for these organizations?
Max, I think I had got a call from Morgan Stanley, but it was like too soon. I mean, it was only 6 months in State Street that time, so they did not go ahead with that. But apart from that, I did not get any other opportunities as such.
Right. So you have, like how we have the Big Four in audit, in advisory,
Yeah,
you have McKinsey and Company. You have BCG. I don't know if you've heard of BCG,
Yeah,
Boss
Boston Consultancy.
Consulting Group, Bain and Company, right? Similar to how you have the Big Four in audit. I
Yeah,
mean, even audit firms, even the Big Four have advisory services. But when you talk about advisory, nothing beats McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. Similarly, like how in audit you cannot beat the Big Four, right? Although the Big Four
yeah,
have audit advisory services arms as well. But I honestly, I mean, I've been working in compliance, I've been working in reporting, internal audit over the years. But somewhere, I want to get into advisory, right? Um, I got also as well into advisory. I don't know if you know this organization called Protivity. Protivity.
yeah. Productivity Global.
Yes,
Yeah,
I got, but and it was for a secondment in Oman. I don't know, yeah, right? It was for a year,
okay.
but due to this recent, war thing that happened,
Yeah,
that it didn't happen, right? So they didn't get back to me after that. So I'd got the role, everything was done, and then later they said it's on hold, and then we'll let you know once we resume, and then the resumption didn't happen. Of course, I got another role, but then advisory is fun. Advisory is fun because
yeah,
it's not monotonous, right? It's not monotonous. Uh, anyways, we'll talk about that next session. I'll complete performance audit. I was just, I'll just complete this audit for today. Then
yeah.
next we'll talk about advisory. Okay. Internal auditors assess an organization's ability to measure its performance, recognize deficiencies, and take corrective actions, and achieve acceptable performance levels. Now, a performance audit examines the three E's: efficiency, effectiveness, and economy. Efficiency: are resources used optimally? To manufacture one A6 gel Nimbus shoe, right? Why do I need, you know, uh, I don't know in terms of grams how many, because a shoe might what typically weigh around 300, 400 grams, right? Typically for half
Yeah,
a kilo, maybe,
yeah,
right? So how much material do I need for that? How much rubber? How much foam, right? Foam, EVA foam, which shoes use, um, right? So if I'm requiring in manufacturing of a zero point 0.5 kilo shoe, maybe, you know, 300, 400 grams of foam, and, of course, it'll be cut down, right? But whereas a similar model, or maybe our competitor, New Balance, is using the same amount of foam it is providing in its shoe also, maybe a particular model, right? Maybe the 1080 in New Balance.
yeah,
Maybe the 1080 in New Balance is very similar to the Gel Nimbus shoe, but their efficiency is much better. They are also giving you the same volume of foam in their shoe, but in manufacturing one shoe, they are consuming only 300 grams of that particular product, whereas we are utilizing 400 grams of that particular product and giving the same breadth and width of the foam in our shoe model, right? So they are probably having better efficiencies. Now, I'm not telling you that New Balance has better efficiency. I'm just giving an example, right? So
yeah,
uh, both are wonderful shoes, both beautiful. So Ruchi, you can decide whichever one you want. I
yeah,
think I'm promoting them quite a bit, right? So I think,
yeah,
yeah. Right. So anyways, efficiency, are resources used optimally? Effectiveness, are objectives being achieved? And economy, are we acquiring the resources at the lowest reasonable cost? Not impacting quality. When you're talking about economy, you're not talking about quality being impacted, right? I might be able to outsource that EVA foam from 5 vendors in China, for example. And one vendor is offering me at 15 rupees a kilo, one is offering me at 13 rupees, one is offering 17, one is offering 15.5, one is offering 14.1. Assuming the quality is the same, I should be able to source the best but possible price, right? Not impacting quality. It's not the cheapest always. Assuming or the assumption being that quality remains same, I should be able to source it from the at the most reasonable cost, right? So in a performance audit, we audit the three E's: efficiency, effectiveness, and economy. Unlike financial audits, it focuses on how well operations perform, not just the numbers. Okay, for example, efficiency. Are employees using automated systems or doing manual work unnecessary? Right? Did the project deliver expected results? And economy. Are materials or services procured at reasonable prices? I don't know if you guys, but I'm an Excel guy and I follow some of these Excel platforms online, right? On social media, right? And one of the memes that pops up is you see one guy, first he'll show one guy is typing against, then, he'll be putting manually be typing the full name. And then again, he'll be typing the full, one number against it, the name and one number. He'll be going on typing, typing, typing. Then suddenly you see, like another one, one guy is just using one formula and the entire thing is done, or, just a few clicks and the entire thing is done, right? Um, that is what is efficiency. I don't know if you've seen such ads, but we've seen such things on social media. But if you follow Excel, like I said, I'm an old school guy. I'm an Excel guy. But if you follow any of these Excel pages, you'll see these memes, right? Um, and it kind of remembers. I kind of remember initially when I was in Excel, how I was doing. Of course, today I'm pretty good, but yeah, I kind of resonate with some of them. A performance audit may provide assurance about the organization's progress in meeting key performance indicators, right? Sorry, Ruchi, are you an Excel person? Kishore, are you an Excel person or are you a Power BI person? Are you what? Are
I
you
don't have to do a lot of Excel or Power BI right
I
now.
think I'm an Excel person. I use a lot of Excel.
you're an Excel guy, right? Good,
Yeah,
good. I mean, I think it's, we need to upgrade to Power BI. Power BI is a more advanced tool. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm an Excel guy, so I like to, I look at it kind of improvising on Excel itself rather than, although I feel I should also do Power BI. Anyways, that's for another time. Performance audit engagements involve the review of the organization, the control environment, KPIs. Methods include balanced scorecards, SWOT analysis, and management control evaluation. Now, quickly, I'll just go through what is balanced scorecard. Um, just only two things we'll be talking about: balanced scorecard and SWOT analysis over here, and then we're done for the day, right? Now, a balanced scorecard is a performance measurement tool that relates critical success factors determined in a strategic analysis with financial and non-financial measures. Don't worry, I'll give you an example, so don't worry about that. But just understand what they're talking about. A typical balanced scorecard has four perspectives. Management uses strategic analysis to identify relevant objectives for each perspective. Measures that are chosen, right? For example, financial measures, sales, fair value of the organization stock, profits, liquidity, all numbers, financial numbers, right? Then is the second is the customer. Measures the customer satisfaction. Customer retention rate, which I talked to you, highest in iPhone. Even OnePlus has a very good customer retention rate. That speaks about customer satisfaction. And I think iPhone 8 is about 70%. An iPhone user, once he buys an iPhone, 70% of the people will continue to buy an iPhone. The next phone will be an iPhone only. They won't migrate. Only 30% will migrate to another phone, right? I don't know if it's 70 or 72 or something like that, but I can't remember. It changes, of course, year on year. So, but it has the highest customer retention rate, right? And I also read that OnePlus was a pretty strong competitor from that perspective. Um, Dealer and distribution relationships, marketing and selling performance, prompt delivery, response time, right? If you raise a complaint, by how much time, and trust me, I'm very particular on this, right? I mean, of course, I buy sometimes my formal clothes or I buy my polo t-shirts online, right? Um, of course, sometimes I like to try out new brands. Um, but if there's any delay and if I see the response time is pretty bad, that's the last time I'm ever going to buy from them, right? I'm okay with something not happening as planned, but then I believe the response time should be very good. And if that's not happening, that's a big red flag for me. Quality and of course market share, right? These are all customer measures. Then you have internal measures, right, which is KPIs, quality of a product, um, right? Flexibility of response to changing conditions, operating readiness. These are all internal measures within an organization. Then you have learning, growth, and innovation measures, right? Which is focusing on the future of the organization, the people, how they are being trained, development of new products, promptness of their introduction, human resource development, morale, how do you boost employees' morale, competence of the workforce, right? So financial, customer, internal measures, and learning, growth, and innovation measures. Right? Just one example, IT company performance audit. A CI reviews the company using the balance scorecard, right? Financial first, high cost that shows an inefficiency is detected, right? Low satisfaction, which is arising from service delays. Internal process, slow ticket resolution, lack of employee training. These are all indicators that, but which we, I mean, these are all performance indicators which we gather during an IT company's audit through a balanced scorecard. Of course, based on that, we can make certain recommendations to automate certain processes, improve customer support, train employees on a regular basis, which leads to improved efficiency and customer satisfaction. And lastly, SWOT analysis. Go through it. It's very simple. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats to an organization, right? Fairly simple, nothing complex about it, right? This is very, very simple. In case you need any guidance on it, let me know. We analyze what are the strengths of an organization, weaknesses, opportunities it may have, right? Maybe a company um, is engaging in renewable energy, and they see that the government wants to reduce pollution. In our country, it's opposite. Our government wants to increase the pollution, right? They're cutting down trees left and right in mass. Um, but um, you know, you know, if you're a car manufacturer and you're seeing the company or the country changing laws to reduce the emissions, then you kind of work towards it. You see it as an opportunity. And of course, threat. Like for example, Tesla was seen as a threat, right? Because it was an outsider which focused on EVs, but it soon became a threat, and some companies tried to change that as an opportunity as well. And of course, these keep changing. Strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats keep changing depending on how you, as your organization, change your organization's dynamics and how soon you're able to adapt to the changing environment, right? Um, Go through it. Any questions, let me know. With this, we complete Assurance Services 1. Like I said, I will not be continuing with Assurance Services 2 immediately. I'll be putting a break on it and continuing it at a later time, right? So that you guys take a breather. Next, we'll continue with advisory services. Also, tomorrow I won't be taking class, Kishore. I don't know, I told you or not.
Yeah,
Um,
you told me actually.
right? Yeah, I told you, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Tomorrow I won't be taking up class. Next will be next week, right? Any questions, guys, for today's session? Anything you want to discuss about today?
All good.
Sorry,
All good. All good.
all good. Okay. What plans today, guys?
Nothing. No plans.
No, somebody's at the door.
Yeah. No. No plans.
No plans. What about you, Kishore?
Same, no plans.
Saturday. That's unfortunate. Fortunate. Okay. Anyways, I have to attend to my baby girl. Um, so
Are they at home now?
no, they're still in the hospital. So
Okay.
I'll have to go now shortly after. I'll quickly have my lunch and then I'll go back to the hospital. Um, and yeah, um, she's extremely adorable. Of course, now,
Yes. I
I
hope they're
mean,
both healthy.
apple of the eye, whatever you want to say, everything.
Yeah.
You can name it and it's all there, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I just look at her on a video call and I get so excited. I look at her when I see her and I just get super excited just looking at her. Uh, it is what it is. I don't know, but um,
Nice.
you
Nice.
know,
I'm really happy for
yeah. I mean, I have to take care of my brat as well, but
you.
I don't know. Invariably, I feel a daughter. I mean, I experienced this with my dad favoring my sister on every aspect. Even I asked for a gaming console, he would remind me of my grades. He would remind me of my studies, my exams. If my sister asked for anything, it was done, right? It was just
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
right? So I don't intend to be any bias, but I
Yeah.
think
Too happy for this.
emotions speak for itself. I think kind
Yes.
of
Yes.
um, it is what it is, right? So, anyways, I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week. And
Yes.
anytime you want to talk about anything, have any queries, please feel free to message me and I'll be happy to answer. Okay.
Yeah. So
Take care. Take care, guys.
thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Take care.